Test, test, test. Alright, we're going to do another X-Plane test stream here for X-Plane VR. I feel like we've got our audio issues pretty well sorted out, and I think we should be in good shape, so let's go ahead and give it a shot. We're going to jump right here into New Flight, and we're actually going to change a few graphics settings, so I'm sorry, let's bop right back out of here to our main menu. Our previous flights ran pretty well, but I feel like we could change our graphics settings here. So X-Plane recently updated their graphics rendering engine here to use the Vulkan driver. So I have our Vulkan driver here running. I did increase our number of world objects recently here. I'm going to bring that back down. I feel like it's not necessary to have it as high as I had it in the middle there. That was pretty high. I used to always have it at the lowest setting in the past. I feel like here's good. I want nice, smooth frames. That's the most important thing for me when flying. I feel like the rest of my settings are in a good place for flying, and I'm happy with them. So I'm going to leave that alone. I'm actually going to bring my anti-aliasing setting up a little higher. I prefer more anti-aliasing to more world objects, so we're going to leave that alone there. We're going to make sure our VR hardware is set for a realistic yoke for the airplane that we're flying today. Some of them prefer ergonomic, some prefer realistic, so let's stick with ergonomic today and go with done. We'll jump into a new flight today. We're going to fly one of the most complicated airplanes to take off ever produced, and that is our ME-109 or our BF-109 F4. So we're going to jump into that, and we're going to fly it from our Reading Regional Airport here today. And let's go ahead and jump in and get started. This page will take a little while to load. It's loading up the aircraft and loading up the scenery. I have to change some of our scenery settings here because I did change some of the settings for the scenery. So it has to read some new scenery files and load those up. But as it says here in the Did You Know, the Vulkan shaders are compiled while scenery loads to avoid stutters while you fly. That is a benefit to us. We want to take more time now to let those load so we don't have to spend as much time having them load later. So this is a BF-109, the airplane that was flown by many German fighter aces during World War II. This is a notoriously difficult aircraft to fly and to take off. Many German fighter pilots crashed on takeoff. I may very well crash on takeoff today. I have taken this aircraft off many times, but it is a very complicated plane to start, to take off, to taxi, to do all those things. So we're going to give it a shot today. Let's take a look around our aircraft. So this is the aircraft. Beautifully done, except for this awful iPad that we're going to tuck away here. The X-Plane puts out for every plane. Let's take a look around here. What we have. As I said, beautifully made aircraft here. Very well rendered. Very well recreated. We can peek around in here. Looks just like the real thing, with German everywhere as to be expected. This is our control yoke, or control stick here, operating as to be expected. We have our rudder pedals down there. Our sight up here for the shooting of things. We can actually change some controls with that right there. And I don't mess around with a lot of the controls in here. And I don't know the startup procedure well enough for this aircraft. I don't know my German well enough to know what I'm looking at. And I don't know all the different components for startup on this plane. So I do not start this plane up myself like I do with many other aircraft. I do like to open up the cockpit here, however, for taxiing, because as a tail dragger plane, you do have to stick your head out of the plane to see where you're going many times while taxiing. So that is important. Another thing that I do as well is I do lock the tail wheel. That's back here. If you don't lock the tail wheel, this plane will do what's called a ground loop, where you'll sit and just spin in circles on the ground for a while, and that's never fun for anyone. So we'll do that in a moment here. Let's just go ahead and get this plane fired up. Okay. So we can go up here into the flight menu and start the engines to running, and it will do the process for us. And there we go. A beautiful sound. Let's go ahead and get our brakes on. Lock our tailwheel before we even start to try to move here. And then this is our throttle right here. Let's run the engine up so you can hear how it sounds. we don't want a lot of throttle, especially not for takeoff or taxiing. We want just a hair. There's plenty. Now, when we get our map up, I know this is also anachronistic, but we're going to do it anyway. It lets us see where we're going. So let's put the map down here, put the map up, make it a little smaller, and plop that over there so we can see what's going on. Zoom in so we can get a good feel of where we're taxiing today. Alright, good. Let's let loose and try to get where we're going. Oh, let's open this up again. There we go. Now we're a little louder, aren't we? Alright. The primary reason that this plane is so difficult to taxi and take off is because the landing gear is so narrow. The landing gear folds from the fuselage. It's mounted to the fuselage and then folds out into the wings. But the base for the landing gear is so narrow, it makes it very wobbly. You'll watch as I taxi here, you'll see that the plane wants to wobble a lot. And that makes it very, very difficult to taxi and very difficult to take off. It's a very complicated plane to fly. We're going to give it our best shot. In order to do that, we need to get from where we are, the end of the runway here, to the most runway time, trying to get this plane to take off. Alright, and that bell is my signal that we need to pause the simulation here.